Here's a rewritten version of your story, based on the outline, rewritten to approximately 3,500 characters, with new character names, preserved plot, and elevated dramatic tone. The style remains natural, American English, and intentionally controversial. Get your hands off my son now! The furious voice of billionaire Ethan Caldwell sliced through the courtyard of Whitestone Academy, making several heads snap toward the scene. He stormed toward the black janitor in a blue uniform, who was holding the hand of his 8-year-old son, Luke. But Marcus Bell didn't flinch. Instead, he calmly stepped between the trembling child and the enraged father. "Mr. Caldwell, I can explain," he said evenly. "Explain?" Ethan spat. "Why the hell is a janitor touching my kid?" "Security." Marcus had seen this before, entitlement wrapped in accusation. At 45, he'd long understood how men like Ethan looked at him. But this time wasn't just another incident. This time, the child behind him mattered. Luke gripped Marcus's hand tighter. "Dad, I fell, mister. Marcus helped me." "Quiet!" Ethan barked, yanking Luke's arm roughly. "I don't want you anywhere near that man again." Parents began gathering. Some were already filming. Principal Langston rushed over, visibly flustered. "Mr. Caldwell, please let's handle this calmly." "Calmly?" Ethan laughed. "This school lets janitors manhandle kids now." Marcus inhaled deeply, hands steady. "You're right, Mr. Caldwell, I shouldn't be here. But your son had a head wound. I offered first aid. I'm a former pediatric neurosurgeon." A hush fell. Ethan blinked. "Former doctor," he scoffed. "Yeah, and I'm a retired Navy SEAL." "Spare me." No one stepped in. Not the parents. Not the staff. The silence was louder than the insult. But Marcus didn't lower his eyes. He looked around and made a silent promise: this wouldn't end like last time. Decades ago, he was Dr. Marcus Bell, Harvard trained, one of the top child brain surgeons in the country. That ended when a governor's son died during an impossible surgery. Politics needed a scapegoat. A black doctor from the Bronx fit the role. His license was revoked, his name shredded, and the medical world turned its back. Now a janitor, he had learned to keep his head down until now. Ethan wasted no time. Before he even left the school parking lot, he called the board, demanded Marcus be fired, and hinted at legal action. The next morning, Marcus was pulled from student areas. Staff avoided him. A few whispered. Most looked away. But Marcus had already started recording. Ethan didn't know that. He didn't notice the janitor nearby each time he ranted on the phone about offshore accounts, forged audits, silent payoffs. Marcus had documented it all. 3 days later, Marcus was summoned by police. Ethan filed a formal complaint, painting him as a danger to children. His photo circulated with warnings. But Marcus remained calm. "I actually have concerns about Mr. Caldwell," he told the detective. "His son shows signs of emotional abuse." When Luke showed up at Marcus's door alone days later, bruises on his arms, tearful and scared, everything snapped into focus. "He hurts me when he's mad," the boy whispered. Marcus made a call to Dr. Elaine Harper, his old colleague, now head of pediatric neurosurgery on the West Coast. She arrived the next day with evidence of Marcus's innocence from decades ago: medical records, peer reviews, witness statements. She also examined Luke. The findings were devastating. Within a week, a press conference rocked the Whitestone campus. Marcus stood beside Elaine, a civil rights attorney, and an investigative journalist. They laid out everything: Ethan's abuse, fraud, tax evasion, and the school's complicity. Reporters swarmed Ethan outside the school. "Did you really accuse a former surgeon of misconduct while abusing your own son?" one shouted. Luke, seeing Marcus across the lot, ran into his arms. Victoria Caldwell, Ethan's wife, stood frozen. Then, voice shaking, she stepped forward. "He's right. Marcus saved my son from the one person who was supposed to protect him." Ethan's empire crumbled within days. Stock tanked, the board ousted him, and the IRS launched a full-scale audit. He was arrested and later convicted. In court, his former janitor sat in the front row not out of revenge, but to witness justice. 6 months later, Dr. Marcus Beltitle restored sat behind the desk once occupied by the very principal who had doubted him. Director of Child Protection and Equity at Whitestone Academy. He no longer needed to explain himself. His story had already done that.